Well, hello everyone at the Be Awesome Network. I'm so excited for this conversation. Monique Hill and I were just chatting. Monique, why don't you tell everyone where in the world are you coming to us from and what have you been up to lately?
Sure, Laurie. I'm coming from the east coast of Australia. So I'm 530 kilometres north of Sydney and about 300 kilometres south of Brisbane. So in New South Wales, Australia.
Wonderful. Yes, and it's early morning for you right now.
Yes, it is, but it's good that we can connect. I can connect with the Northern Hemisphere because I have a lot of clients in the Northern Hemisphere. So it is usually early for me and late afternoon for them.
Yes, yeah. So it's something you're used to, I'm sure.
Yes, I am, and I get a lot of favour in the Northern Hemisphere, so that's interesting. Maybe because I'm a First Nation person from Australia. My mob, we call them, is Wiradjuri tribe. So yeah, so maybe that's the connection. I'm very connected to Australia and the earth and nature.
Love it, love it. And we were talking about all kinds of topics. So where should we start?
Okay, well, how about we start at the beginning?
Yes,
The beginning of my awakening journey, you could say. It probably wasn't even an awakening journey back then. We're going back 5 decades, 50 years ago. The energy on planet was very dense, and those that were spiritual seekers were far and few. And, you know, that's why you'll read a lot online about empaths and feeling left out, iced out by family, black sheep of the family, all that sort of those labels that we describe our spiritual selves with. So at the age of 7, on my own back, I wanted to read the whole Bible. So I read the whole Bible. I found it very fascinating. But really, my awareness of compassion came in at the age of 9, and I was the youngest person to complete the 40-hour famine, and that was in 1975. So the 40-hour, do you know the 40-hour famine, Laurie? Have you heard of that? Oh,
well,
it was a, yeah, you haven't heard of that?
Well, no, I don't think so. I was the 40
Okay.
fast, but not the 40-hour famine.
Yeah, 40-hour famine is what a lot of families would do, and then you would get donations from other people, and that money went off to Africa, to third world countries. So it was sort of, yeah, when charitable organizations were starting to help others in the world. So I was sort of very young to do that, to go without food for 40 hours. But I really wanted to do that. I really wanted to help, you know, third world countries. So that's when I look back, that's sort of where I can see my compassionate, empathetic side, you know, there. But you know, my family didn't really get the light that I carried and the truth that I carried, you know, and they had their own problems. So it wasn't an easy childhood for me. And I ended up leaving home at a really young age. And, you know, there had been abuse in the family home. And, you know, I didn't understand anything about that. And we didn't have counselling. In the Northern Hemisphere, you know, you guys started off with counselling sessions early, because I remember, oh, therapy, I'm going to therapy, you know, but we didn't have that here in Australia. So I started, I came across astrology at 17 and numerology, and it was my lifesaver, because to me, I needed to look out at the world and go, well, why am I different? You know, why doesn't everybody think the same as I do? And it was through astrology and understanding the energy behind each sun sign that I was able to give compassion to people that were harming me, or who were trying to shut down my light and ice me out, you know. So I haven't put that study down, and, you know, that's sort of 4 decades I've been studying astrology and numerology, and now it's actually helping people. Because back then, if we were at a party or anything like that, I'd be asking what star sign you are, and, oh, that's a load of BS and blah, blah, you know. And I knew that it was right for me, because it didn't matter what anybody said. I knew that there was truth in what I was studying, and I'd also felt like I'd done it before. I felt like I had studied all of that before. So I went along and I was struggling, you know, I was really in the dark. And I went to acting school. Like, I'd been on stage from the age of 4. So I was a singer and a dancer and an entertainer. So I put myself through acting school, and we studied the Stanislavski technique, which is an acting technique.
Okay.
And that sort of pulls you apart, but it doesn't put you back together again, that technique. And so, you know, I was very lost, you could say. However, my anchor was my astrology, numerology, and my belief in my intuition that there's got to be more. There's got to be more.
Yeah.
And then in my late 20s, I took my first trip to India. I've been to India 5 times. So, you know, Saturn return, late 20s, 30s, I went to India. And, you know, that was fascinating for me. I didn't actually at that time delve into the spirituality of India. More so, it opened my mind to, wow, there's so many gods. How could there be so many gods, you know? And still to this day, you know, I understand that now. We're all seeking, we're all searching. There's many modalities out there. You know, in my 30s, I actually went back to a Christian faith and went to Bible college. But that was amazing. I only lasted sort of 1 year, but it was, you know, a real left field Christian sect of moving in the spirit. And that's when I felt the anointing of the fire. And what the fire does, it burns up the dross of the human. And so that all comes to the surface, and there's a purification. However, it's a very slow purification. So that was in 2003. And, you know, now I know an easier, quicker purification, but it's taken me this long, and probably because I needed to wait for the rest of humanity, for the energy to come on planet, for more people to awaken. And we have that today. It's really exciting. We have that today. You have that in your network. You know, you have some wonderful people, and, you know, each one has a modality, and we're all heading in a journey back to self. But the last frontier for humanity is the mind. The mind, you know, modalities are a medicine, so to speak. And, you know, we know these days that you don't start a job and stay in that job for 40 years and retire and get the golden cup and off you go. You know, people are moving around now. So whatever modality people are in, I really believe that that's not the be all and the end all. So we need to be very careful that we don't become religious with our modalities. You know, and I've been fortunate enough to meet some people that are enlightened, and you know, I've been led right back to meditation, and you know, that's where I will sit, because I cannot see any other modality that will bring me anything more than what I need, what I have today. I'm transcending the mind. I mean, after that, what is there, you know? So, you know, there was addiction involved in my life too. So in my early 20s, I ended up in 12-step groups. And, you know, I've been in and out of them because I go in and I receive the growth, and then I'm out and then I'm off again. And my last 12-step group that I was in was adult children of alcoholics and dysfunctional families. And I spent 5 years rock solid. I was in a dark night of the soul. I'd had everything taken from me. I'd been homeless for 2 years, and I did that work and dug up, you know, the soul's shadow as an Aboriginal woman, my lineage, you know, because I am the eldest of my lineage, down from me on my paternal side. So, you know, there's been a lot of work, and that was like a 10-year dark night of the soul where I didn't have people around me. I lost my family. I'd lost my business. I'd lost my home. I lost my son. I lost everything. there was just me left. And when there's just you left, there's nowhere to go except within. And it was within to meditation that and the crying, letting it all go, releasing it. They call it shadow work. So for us to get to a point where we can transcend the mind, we need to go past the shadow work, that dark night of the soul, because it's the mind that we're mastering, and it's the mind that has all of the false beliefs and the core beliefs, and there's a sadness, that comes up when you realize that what you think isn't actually the truth or correct. I haven't let you speak, Lori, sorry.
I'm just
going on and on.
I'm just taking it all in. I love that you have been through so much, but also you've been seeking for so long, and you've experienced so many different pathways and experiences, and it's all molding together into who you are now. And I just think that's beautiful. I think I'm just sitting here thinking, like, there's so many people that are passionate about their certain modality, and just for, argument's sake, they could say, well, mine is right, or yours is wrong, or, but I love that you have experienced so much, and that you're coming to a place where it's all pretty much melding together, and you have so many different perspectives. I'm just fascinated. And you said something about the dark night of the soul. I would like to talk just a little bit more about that, because when you were talking about that, I was starting to well up with tears, because I've been there too, and I know a lot of people probably have been there too, but can you talk just a little bit more about what it means to be there, and how do you come out of that?
Well, there's many, many people go through little dark nights of the soul. And in astrology, Pluto, the planet Pluto, when it conjuncts, comes alongside in the same angle as your natal sun was when you were born, your star sign, Pluto causes a dark night of the soul. And Pluto also rules power. So, when we come into a dark night of the sun, a dark night of the soul, we've lost our power along the way. Everybody's lost their power along the way on this planet. We've given it to society. We've given it to our families. We've believed what everybody's told us. We haven't, danced to the beat of our own drum and our own true self. So, a dark night of the soul isn't for everybody in this lifetime. In fact, with astrology, it's only for a third of the people because of the slow transit of Pluto. So Pluto was transiting Capricorn. I'm a Capricorn. So Pluto transited the mind, and the mind went very dark. But there's a purification, it's the death, transformation, rebirth. That's a dark night of the soul, the death, dying to the old self. And in Christian belief, Jesus died, but he didn't stay in his body. However, we were told we can do this and even more. So when we go through a dark night of the soul, some don't make it, Lori. Sadly, in this life, they weren't going to make it. That wasn't their intention, from their blueprint. But old souls usually go through this Pluto transit, and it's transiting into Aquarius at the end of the year. And Aquarius rules the collective. So the whole of the collective are going to go through a dark night of the soul. And if you can't see that at the moment, then, we are actually starting this dark night of the soul, and it's a purification. It's an understanding. Aquarius is the collective. We are all one. And when we start acting like we are all one, then humanity's, going to be expanding, evolving. And, I think all your network would agree with me there. And that's what these modalities are about. But the energy on planet is right. You know, our solar flares, that's bringing neutrons in. It's changing our DNA. We're upgrading. To be born at this time is amazing. I mean, it's what's happening on planet now is a once in a creature lifetime. You know, like the way things changed went right back to before the flood, you know, and a lot of us were wiped out. So, you know, we need to go through this dark night of the soul, but it's tough. I mean, can you imagine sitting around crying for 5 years? And that was just my story, because I had suppressed and pushed down all of that wounding and that pain from my younger years. I did it with addictions. That's the best way to do it, with addictions, push them down, whatever it is. Workaholism, you know, I was so, let's just work all day so we don't have to think or feel, you know, but we're going to hit a brick wall. You will eventually hit a brick wall. And when your soul's involved, you know, no one comes knocking at the door, bankruptcy, all sorts of things happen around you and you are powerless, right? But the whole idea of the dark night of the soul is to come back to self, to the true power of self. And then, you know, you're empowered. And this is where the transcendence of the mind comes in, because you're listening to your heart mind, your intuition, not the programming from, you know, your early days or what have you. So it's big, it's very, very big. And the only antidote, and where I've ended up after all of this, is meditation. And that's the business that I'm in these days.
Yeah.
And always when I've wanted to learn something, I've taught it, right? So I'm aligned with a company called Skillful Mind. And we take people through a meditation leaders program so that they can start up a little business themselves, and they can get the insurance, you know, after completing this little program. We also do weekend retreats, and we do 2-year mentoring programs as well, which, you know, we study from a book called The Mind Illuminated. Yeah, so the leader of the company, he's a ordained monk. So he's sat for 6-7 years, you know, with a bowl, and he's Australian though, you know, that was in Thailand. So he's ordained, and with my background, you know, we've aligned together. And I'm also on YouTube. I have a YouTube channel, and I've labeled myself Monique Hill, Intuitive Soul Savant, because after 5 decades, I'm a savant of the soul. And I'm not, you know, my ego has dropped. I'm a very humble person, actually, you know, for all these things that I've done. People are surprised when I come up with little things, and you've done that, and you've done, you know, when you're after the dark night of the soul, the ego, it's the burning of the ego, so that there's so much self-love on board that you don't need any people to tell you you're unreal, or, oh, you're amazing, you're awesome, you know, like, you know, you're awesome. You know, I am awesome, and life is awesome. And what an awesome journey to get me here today. And, you know, I'm human. In the dark night of the soul for 5 years, I prayed, just kill me, let me go. I'm not strong enough to do this. I can't do this. But obviously I could, because I got through the tunnel. And, you know, a beautiful saying I picked up was, the light at the end of the tunnel is not the illusion. The tunnel is the illusion. So once we can understand that all of this out here is an illusion, we are a soul in a human body having a human experience, and all of this here is just to trigger us to the parts of ourselves that we feel powerless in, because the ego will overcome that and go, oh no, I'm all right. But bottom line, you know, when you peel that onion back, for me personally, I hated myself. And that was very sad to get to that point, to understand that, oh my God, I hate myself. you know, and I could give you stories and reasons for why, and, you know, my early caregiving and what have you, but one, that's the core of the onion, is what you actually really think about yourself. And the ego will try to protect you by making up stories and striving to become wonderful in the world's eyes, you know, but really it all comes back to self, you know.
Yeah.
And, you know, the mind is the last frontier. However, we need to go through the darkness, and, you know, to be able to monitor the mind 24/7, that takes a lot of meditation. You're slowing the mind down. The mind wants to race all over the place and tell you this and tell you that, and this is the truth and that's the truth. None of it's true. None of it's true. We're here, you know, enlightenment is to observe life, the awesomeness of life.
Yeah. Wow.
You know.
I love that. Yeah. So all of that, I'm resonating with so much. And it's probably because I am on the other side, like what you talked about, of that dark night of the soul. And I did find myself. And that is really why I started this network, is because I wanted to bring people together to show them that they are awesome. Right. And yeah, so love of yourself is so important. And let's just talk a little bit about meditation and what kind of if someone's beginning into like wanting to experience that, because it is hard to slow down, what are some good tips to start a meditation?
All right. Well, I mean, you know, we've had a fantastic teacher in Buddha. I mean, if you're suffering at all, well, then that means you're not enlightened, okay? Because the suffering comes from the mind and the thinking, thoughts, emotions, okay? And then, you know, the emotions can become habitual too. So with meditation, what we're doing is we have to sharpen attention, and attention is on breath. Yes, you can do guided meditations, but that's just playing with the mind, basically. So we sit, and I would suggest 5 minutes to start with. And when you've mastered 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes. So where our attention is on the breath. But we have to know that the whole idea of enlightenment is not to dull the mind. When we get into these trippy places and all of that, that's actually dullness of the mind. So we're attention on the breath. Now the mind will wander off and start thinking about lunch and blah, 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 blah. Oh, we've forgotten that we were having our attention on the breath. Back to the breath. Now those with wounds will admonish themselves. Oh, damn mind, oh, blah, blah, blah. Forget that. The mind's going to do what the mind's going to do. Okay, that's what the mind does. All right, so there's no use beating yourself up because the mind keeps wandering off, right? Just remember, that's called forgetting what you were doing, and what you were doing was attention on the breath, right? And over time, the mind, you'll observe that thought, but you won't go running off with that thought. The mind will just keep flicking thoughts out. And the longer that you meditate over a period of time, the thoughts stop. However, your witness within, your God self, the watcher within, the source that you really truly are. This is a meat suit, but we have a spark of source within us, and you will come to be aware and consciousness of that watcher within. Right, so the attention's on the breath. The thoughts have slowed down. We need still to have awareness of what's going on around us. The cars, the motorbikes, the birds, right? That's keeping the mind alert, attention on the breath, because you can put yourself to sleep, just attention on the breath. And people go, oh, wow, I've had a wonderful meditation. That's dullness of the mind. We're wanting to master the mind, right? And alertness is what a clarity, alertness is what a healthy mind is.
Yeah, yeah,
So
I love that.
then take it to 10 minutes, then 15 minutes. And, you know, it is a habit, and a lot of people struggle with habits. So that's why we bring groups together. So you're not alone. And not everybody wants enlightenment in this life, you know. But for me and all the suffering that I I started a life with, call it karma. I believe it was karma. I believe I've been to a place in India where I know I did a whole life's meditation. I was guided there, but I had the emotional karma that I needed to deal with in this life, family karma. I come from a family, they're all born on the 8th. Well, numerologically, 8 is karma. So, those modalities helped me to have some understanding of why I was so different and why I wanted to choose this spiritual path. And everybody telling me, no, it's all about money. You need to make money. That's what makes a good person, But I stuck with it, and now I'm very, very glad, even though I didn't think I'd get through that dark night of the soul, but because I was dying. We die within. We die to the old self, right? And the thoughts that come with that old self, the programming that comes with that old self. So, meditation is the answer. It always was the answer. There's new technologies now to, go past lives and all that sort of thing. Well, that's great, as long as it's helping you to leave suffering behind. A lot of modalities are great entertainment. They're fabulous entertainment. Keeps our mind busy and makes us feel like we're a starseed or a chosen one or a this one or a that one, which feeds our ego to tell us that we're okay. But it's us that really, and to not suffer from loneliness. When we can walk this earth as if, nobody really is out there, we're just doing our job, then that is true enlightenment, because nobody can make us feel happy.
Yeah.
No one can fill that gap, only us.
Yeah. I had a friend tell me, because I'm on a journey myself where I'm traveling, and I'm traveling with, I call it with myself, not by myself. And so it's just so interesting. I've never been alone in my life. I've always been a part of a family or a team or a marriage or, and so this is the first time in my life after 52 years that I'm on my own and I don't feel lonely. There are some times when, you want to hug or you want to talk to one of your loved ones, but it's just so interesting and different. So yeah, talk a little bit about that.
About being on your own. Well,
right.
we've grown up in a family, okay? And with that family, there's conditioning, okay? And we thought that what we were conditioned and told and what have you, well, that's God gospel truth. Until we mature as adults and realize, hang on a minute, maybe that wasn't right. And a lot of people don't break away from that conditioning. They will complain a lot about that conditioning and complain to everybody that will hear them about their family, their partner, their this, and until you can become brave and step away because that conditioning or relationship or what have you isn't serving you, it's bringing more suffering into your life. And that's a big step just to get to that point. And women these days, we know that because it's only been 5 decades, that women have been supported enough to be able to leave domestic violence situations. We have a huge problem here in Australia with domestic violence. And, a lot of the network will know that the divine feminine is rising back up. And, we are women and we need to stand up and walk away sometimes. However, what stops people walking away from family and relationships, work, whatever, is the fear of being alone, right? And I know that fear of being alone because I was a very family-oriented person. So to lose all of my family was devastating. And that's why I spent 5 years, locked up in a unit, just doing healing sessions, body sessions with clients, is, it took that long for me to get to the point of, well, I'm not alone. Through the meditation, I have source with me. I am source. I am that energy on the other side of passing over from this body. You know, I have that with me, and that is enough. That is enough. So we need to be very brave to step out on our own, and good on you, Lori. Like, good on you for doing what you're doing. I would look at that life as the most exciting life ever. I mean, I've had to be very grounded, you know, and I was a traveler, 6 years, you know, India, Japan, you know, traveled, Indonesia. So, you know, that's my life, you know, sort of thing. But to be on your own, alone, and to not feel lonely is a huge step, because remember, it's the mind that's telling you that you're alone and lonely. Oh, I'm lonely. I have nobody. I mean, I did all that, you know, like, and I realized when I lost my family, my son, everybody, I felt like an earth orphan. So what's going to pick up an earth orphan is spirit. You know, we all have our spiritual beliefs, and our beliefs are that there's something greater than ourselves, 12-step. You know, that's why 12-step groups are so open to everybody, because it's the God of your understanding. And if you don't even want to call it God, you can call it the chair, you know, whatever. But there's a power greater than us, and I believe that that power is the group, is humanity's collective. We are all here suffering, right? And we're on the way out. We're on the way out of that suffering, because of the many modalities and networks like yours that are raising up the spirit of people, so they know that they're not alone on this journey. You know, they're not alone on this journey. But like I said, not everybody in this life is here to do this work. Maybe next life or what have you. You know, it's all multidimensional. I understand all of that. But aloneness in Australia, there's many women my age that are on their own, you know, and I have one music band I go to see on a Sunday afternoon for a couple of hours, and it's all women dancing on the dance floor, you know, just rejoicing in that aloneness, because maybe a lot of them have come from domestic violence situations, you know, so it's choosing yourself. It's choosing yourself. If you are alone, you're choosing yourself, because the grass isn't greener in a dysfunctional family or in a domestic violence situation. It's not greener, but at least you've got a chance when you're on your own. You've got a chance to move forward.
Yeah, and I think even from my perspective, I've opened up my eyes and my heart to more so to other people. Even as I'm walking around and looking at other people, I feel more of a connection with people around me than I ever have in my life. More of a commonality, even though we're all so different. So it's been an amazing experience, and it's been an amazing experience, an awesome experience talking to you, Monique. I could talk for 30 more minutes, but
I could too. I could too.
Well, what would you, if people want to reach out to you and get in touch with you, what's the best way to do that?
Well, they can go to my Facebook page. They can message me. I have a website called that was my other website, intuitivesoulsavant.com. intuitivesoulsavant.com. And I can do their astrology chart. And it's not a basic astrology chart, oh, you like blue, that sort of thing. It's the dark night of the soul. Where's Pluto? What's going on? Where's your North Node? What was your intention as a soul? Where were you going? What got in your way? You know, because I've had so much experience with healing. You know, it used to be Wounded Healer Support, a website that I had a long time ago, because I was wounded, and I'm a healer, and I'm here to support. So, you know, if you'd like to go that route, if you'd like to look at meditation, you know, when you go to my Facebook site, you'll see Skillful Mind, and you can contact me there as well. Not on Instagram yet. You know, I'm nearly 60, and it's all a little overwhelming, all the social media, because I really had to put social media down while I went through Dark Night of the Soul, because it's a distraction. It would have kept my mind busy and off what I was actually doing, which was going within, meditating, clearing the chakras. I did that for 2 years, daily meditation, clearing the chakras. And I teach that as well. So I can do one-on-one on Zoom, or you can go over to my YouTube channel, Monique Hill, Intuitive Soul Savannah. It's just a small group because I'm not an entertainer. I really get down to the nitty-gritty of spirituality, spiritual growth, enlightenment, and transcending the mind.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, it was so great. I loved every second of it. And what we'll do is we'll in the comments, I'll have you put all of that, your YouTube channel, your website. Yeah. And then of course your Facebook profile, people can click on and message you and friend you. But that's what we'll do with that. So it'll make it easy. But do you have any closing thoughts before we sign off?
If you desire enlightenment, like Eckhart Tolle, and want to live in the now moment, not the past, not the future, the now moment, meditation is key. Meditation, there's no other modality that's going to stop the mind from the crazy monkey-minded thinking that it has been programmed to do. You know, we're heading to right side of the brain. So, yeah.
Okay.
Transcending the mind, it's humanity's last frontier. And if you want to be on board in that experiment, you could say meditation.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Monique, for joining us at the Be Awesome Network. And if you are listening right now and you want to connect with Monique, please check the comments and find out more and connect with her. And then I also just want to tell you, if no one's told you yet today, that you are awesome and that we can be awesome together. And that's what this is all about. So thank you again.
Thank you, Lori. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody, for listening.
We'll see you guys next time. Okay.